Hey guys, Mike Toy Bonsai Boise. So this is my grow tent. I've done one video on it so far, but I rewatched it and I felt like it was a little too brief and it kind of skipped over some of the main points of it. And that's half the reason I'm doing this video now. And the other half is that it's been working great. It took me about, I think this is my third year of really just kind of fine tuning my indoor setup. And I think I've about got it nailed. So I'm going to show you a little more in depth of what I'm doing, what kind of lights I'm using, the watering system I'm going with, and a couple other little tricks that I'm doing that have just been working fantastic. So come with me, let's open this thing up and take a look. All right, so I guess first thing I'll show, there's two ways, well, technically three ways you can open this up. First way, it's got these two front doors, one here and one here. But what I'm gonna do for now, just so we've got more operating space, is you can do this larger door. I say door, but it's actually really just opening up the entire thing. So this gives you a little bit better access when you need to get in there and kind of like mess around with it, like we're going to be doing today. So here it is. So now, instead of, I still have to stoop to get in, but not quite as much. The other door was about here, so I'd have to stoop more and then step over it. This way kind of opens it up quite a bit more, and I can get to that side easier. So let's take a closer look. All right, so here we are. A little overwhelming at first when you look in here. Kind of like its own little tropical jungle, which is kind of cool this time of year. So quick walk through here. My dwarf pomegranate. You know, last year I did not put the pomegranates in the greenhouse, and it turns out they love it in the greenhouse. But being a kind of Mediterranean plant, I didn't think they would. So that's something I learned. But I won't focus too much on that right now. For now, what I'll focus on is you can see how everything is thriving in here. So a couple things that I'll point out right off the bat that you're probably going to notice is you're going to see a whole bunch of ladybugs. Whoop, bye ladybug. You're going to see a ton of them. And for some weird reason, they like to sort of cluster up in certain spots. I have no idea why. Kind of gross, actually, if you look at that. So I try not to look at that. I bought a package of what I would say 1,500, I think it was, 1,500 ladybugs for like, I don't know, 10 bucks on Amazon. And they are doing wonders in here. It's still early in the winter season, so there's time for things to go wrong and bugs and stuff. But I'll just buy more ladybugs. Now, initially, I had thought ladybugs would be all over the place. If I let a bunch of them go in here, they would get out and they would wreak havoc. They would be all over the place in the apartment and everything. But no, they haven't. And it makes sense that they don't, really, if you think about it, because they have no incentive to. They have every incentive to stay in here. It's warm. There's a food source for them. You know, whatever little bugs grow in here, they eat the bugs. So they mostly just stay in here. I occasionally will find one outside, but I would not say it's an epidemic. So that's it for the ladybugs. Let me show you The lighting system. These are just regular lights that I bought at, I think it was Lowe's or Home Depot or something. I'll post a picture of the exact, package that they came in, just so you know what they are. I did a video on these last year, although my setup last year was awful. It was like embarrassingly awful. I tried to build my own greenhouse out of PVC pipe and like plastic sheathing, and it didn't work. It was worth a try. Maybe I learned something along the way, but it didn't work. So don't watch the whole video. But the parts that are important, right there, all that is, it's kind of like a dual light plug-in that plugs into a single plug-in that plugs into the outlet. And that's it. And then I wrap it in electrical tape to kind of keep the moisture out of there. And that's all that is. You don't necessarily have to buy expensive grow lights from the store. Those were maybe $5 or $10 a pack, something like that. Much cheaper than the $20 or $30 grow lights that you see. And they've been working like a charm. In addition to those, these are just those cheapo Amazon, like 4 of them in a pack kind of thing for $15. I've got those just kind of as supplements and fillers. Down there you can see it's kind of like a yellower bright light. That's more of them. I've also got the same thing on the bottom row, but those are the, instead of the white lights, it's the multiple colored lights, multi-spectrum. That's the word I was looking for. Down here, actually, let me show you what's going on underneath this rack. Okay. Camera might be a little shaky while I get under here. So all I did was I zip tied some more grow lights. Oops. Underneath the racks. I now have 2 levels to grow with. I've got the bottom level here and the top level. I guess you could say like a 3rd level because I got this thing going over here in the same scenario. And grow lights down there. So that's my grow light setup. I've probably got, I don't know, 4 or 5 different types of lights. I'm sure that part could be optimized, and maybe that'll be what I focus on next year, is optimizing the light situation. But for now, I'm pretty happy with it. It's doing its job great. And everything is growing like crazy. So much on the lights. Let me show you what I switched to for a watering system. This has really made my life a lot easier. So let me give you a look. All right. So watering system. Gone are the days of me filling up water bottle after water bottle after water bottle, or watering can, and going around and watering them that way. Reaching way back, those hard to reach ones at the bottom, Now, I've just got this guy. Just like that. If I need to focus in and really water one good, I focus in and water really good. Get all the way in the back, nice and easy there. I do this about once every 3 or 4 days. And it's kind of like more of an art than a science for me. Sometimes I give them all like a thorough soaking. Other times I just kind of mist. Keeps it nice and humid. but it doesn't let anything get waterlogged. I can reach all the way in the back, super easy, just like that. And I kind of just keep an eye on them and see, all right, which ones really haven't been getting much water, and then I'll just sort of douse it for a few minutes with that. Every couple of minutes, pump a little more pressure in there, and unload. Just like that. So one thing I'll point out, I do not have a fan in here. I don't recommend that you don't have a fan. I keep pretty close tabs on it. But I think the way that I'm getting away with not having a fan is that I open this thing up and air it out at least every day. In fact, this time of year, it's cold. It's, mid-December now, so it's cold. It's gloomy outside. It's gray. It's just, it's just that time of year. So it's kind of nice. I get home, I get off work, I get home from the gym, I come home, get ready to eat, open this thing up, and sometimes I'll just eat dinner like next to it. And now my girlfriend does too. She thought I was crazy at first, and then she tried it a few times, and she's like, it's kind of nice. It's kind of like watching the Nature Channel right next to you. Maybe it's the lack of vitamin D this time of year, I don't know. So, as I'm watering these, I'll tell you the three things that I would say really revolutionized it for me this year was the grow tent itself, compared to just the greenhouse from last year with a tarp over it. The ladybugs, excuse me, the ladybugs, and this watering thing. I forget what it's called. You can pick these up anywhere for 15 bucks. This has made life so much easier for me, and it's made life so much better for the trees. I can hardly even keep up with it. It used to be, in wintertime, nothing really grew much. They just sort of maintained and, got weak. Some of them would die. And then last year I sort of got that leveled off with the greenhouse to where they were kind of growing a little, but not to any crazy extent. But they at the very least were not getting weak and dying. This year I've got it to the point where I can really hardly even keep up with them all. They're all just continuing to grow vigorously, which I did notice past few years, like they still have some growth, I guess, momentum in them when you bring them in at the end of the summer, beginning of fall. They've got some of that momentum in them, so they continue to grow for like a month or so, but usually by this time of year, they're done. They're not really growing anymore. So the fact that these are just makes me super happy. So that's enough of me watering. Let me give you an update on some of these trees that I've worked on in the past so you can see how they're doing. Okay, here's a little bit better angle. Here's the pomegranate. Worked on this 2 months ago, maybe, give or take. Could be off there. When I first repotted it, I put it in the windowsill in my office, and all the leaves started to turn yellow and it wasn't looking super great. So I thought, I'll put it in the greenhouse for a couple days, see how it does. Put it in there, bounced right back. Although I do think that this new foliage is kind of like weak, needs to be exposed to the elements a little bit. Hey, little ladybug. Look at that. Okay. Because it seems like every time I open up this greenhouse, the tips of the foliage start to go like this. And then I close the greenhouse back up and open it up the next day and it's up again. That tells me it's kind of a, it's just brand new, super soft foliage. Anyway, that's a look at the pomegranate. Let's grab another one. All right, here is the tiger bark ficus forest penging thing that I'm doing. Getting pretty foresty in there. So I'm just gonna let this grow. I'd like to, I guess, my rough idea is to have it kind of dome shaped, have the foliage start somewhere around here, give or take. That way you can see inside, you can see some of these rocks and stuff in there. But it's growing like crazy, so I'm just gonna let it grow for a while before I start to hack away at it and go into the next phase of that design. So that's that one. Let's look at a few that I've wired up recently. All right, so even if you watch a lot of my videos, I'm guessing you probably won't recognize this one at first. I did a video November of 2021 called Bush to Bonsai, Ficus benjamina. And this is it. This is the bush that is being turned into a bonsai. So I air layered part of it off there, which I have in there. And just recently, I wired some of this just for movement and shape, because I couldn't really clip and grow it in any way that looked good. And this time of year, we're kind of, I guess, starved for things to do, for lack of a better term. Not a ton to do this time of year. So I do a lot of wiring. So that is the Ficus benjamina bush to bonsai update. Let's look at another. All right, here is the Eugenia that I did sometime last year in fall. I've really only trimmed it a couple of times. Haven't done much with it. I did wire it up recently, but we've got some flaws in here. So let me see if we can get you a good look. Right there, right at my wiring point, actually. You can see 3 branches. Oh, wait a minute, no. 4 branches. That guy there. Coming out of basically the same spot. So that will have to be addressed. Probably sooner rather than later, but for now, I'm living and letting live. Kind of giving it a little wiring and shape just for guidance, but not gonna do anything drastic today. So that's the Eugenia. All right, here's I call it my work bonsai. It's a Ficus benjamina. Repotted it, I actually can't remember when. I want to say roughly a year ago. I did some real hard prunes to it as well. One right there, which you can see is healing up. One right there, which is healing up. And one right there, which is not healing up quite as good as the others, but still healing up. It's got a lot of that bright green new growth. I did some wiring to it recently. It's in kind of a scraggly looking phase, but that's okay. I'm letting it just grow out at the moment now that I've got it all wired up. Ooh, somebody escaped. I don't know what that was attached to, but rebel tree. Anyway, that's a look at the work bonsai. Let's look at 1 or 2 more. Okay, this is the one we call Sheffy. Repotted this within about a year ago. It was a similar pot to this, but it was much smaller. And it had just so many aerial roots going at the time and it was just exploding. I wanted to put it in a bigger pot, kind of rearrange some of those aerial roots in a better way. See if I can give you a better look here. and put in a pot that was going to be big enough to accommodate a lot of new growth. So far, it's doing great. I almost named it Gandalf. Kind of looks like this big beard, old wise beard, but can't change a tree's name midway through its life. That's bad luck. Okay, last tree update, and then I'll show you one more trick that'll save you some money on wiring. This is my, I'm hesitant to call it anything. There's some controversy about this. They market these as ginseng ficus. What they really are is Green Island ficus on top grafted onto some other kind of ficus. I forget what. But they call it ginseng ficus, so that's what we're rolling with. Ginseng ficus. It bounced back from my repot a couple of months ago and is doing nicely. Now let me show you a little bit of a wiring hack. Okay, time for a bit of a wiring hack that'll hopefully save you some money. So this is just some, I believe it's 1 gauge. Couldn't find a tag or anything for it to say for sure, but I bought this at a little specialty novelty store that sold bonsai pots and stuff like that. I forget how much you get in a pack. I want to say it's maybe 10 feet or so. It's like 25 bucks for that. Got that at D&B Supply for $7.99. As you can see, it's the exact same. Like exact same. $7.99. I forget how many feet are in this thing, but it's a lot. I mean, I don't know how much more I can say than that. It gets better. That's 1 step up. I think it's 2 gauge, or it's basically 1 step stronger than the last one. That was $8.99. And it gets better. That's 1 step up from there. I've used most of this. There was probably 3 or 4 times as much here originally. 30 bucks. I think it's 3 gauge. I'm bad at the gauges, so forgive me if I'm wrong on that. But it's basically the 3rd step up from there. Got this at Fred Meyer's. 100 feet, $13.99. It's a different color, but I mean, I thoroughly examined these. Seems to be the same strength, which I think this one is 12 or 14 gauge. $12 gauge. So there you go. Just wanted to share that little wiring hack. Don't spend 30 bucks for a little when you can spend $13.99 on a lot. So that basically concludes my wiring hack and my greenhouse updates. If you have any questions on any of this, feel free to leave me a comment or drop me a line. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. We can all learn together. Thanks for watching though, everybody. I appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And have a good rest of your day.